All right, afternoon, everybody. Hope you can hear me okay. We'll start with an opening comment from Coach Anderson on playing in the First Responders Bowl, and then you guys can open up for questions.
Well, excited to get the news to be going to Dallas and spending Christmas there. We'll be in Dallas on Christmas Day, getting ready for a game on the 27th. Love the matchup against Memphis, really good football team, familiar with those guys. Coach Silverfield and their program, having played them and been kind of right there in that footprint during my time at Arkansas State. I have watched them play several times this year and know what kind of challenge that'll be. Ton of guys on our roster and our staff from Texas, so the opportunity to go back to the Metroplex where we recruit as well. There's just a lot of positives about this particular game for us and this matchup, but mainly just the opportunity itself to be bowl eligible 2 years in a row, to add to just a wonderful bowl history here at Utah State in general over the last 10, 15 years, and to possibly get win number 7. That'll be a huge challenge. Be an underdog right where we're comfortable being to find a way to get number 7, but 7 and 6 would feel much better for this group as they graduate out and go on to kind of the next phase of their life. Would feel much better than 6 and 6, and obviously much better than 6 and 7. So we'll recruit the next couple of weeks, continue to do that. Had a big weekend this weekend. Next couple of weekends will be about that, and then we'll prepare for these guys and travel down and get ready to play in a really good game in a great venue there in Dallas and enjoy all the things that they present. I've heard it's a great bowl for the players and the fans. Hopefully we'll have a bunch of people that will want to come down and spend that time with us. Looking forward to what they offer for the kids. And like I said, a way to finish on a positive note as we send seniors out and honestly turn back around in just a couple weeks and start preparation for next year's journey with 90% or more of this football team. So with that, what questions do you have?
Coach Jacob Nielsen, KSL.com. Can you elaborate a little bit more about what this means going to the Lone Star State with how many members on the coaching staff, including yourself, are from Texas and 13 players as well?
Yeah, this is a place where clearly we recruit nationally. We recruit from Florida to New York to the West Coast and everywhere in between. And for that 12 or 13 guys, a lot of their families do make the trip out. But when you start talking about the holidays and the opportunity to have a ton of your family just get in a car and drive up, to be back in the Metroplex for a lot of these guys that are actually from that area as well, it's just a super cool feeling to be able to go home and finish up the season. You know, my mom doesn't travel very well anymore. My brother is ill and is not in a position to travel. So for me personally, it's an opportunity maybe to get to see them during the holidays. So there's a lot of pluses. But for the rest of the crew, it's a great place to go. There's so much to do in Dallas. The venue is phenomenal, and the matchup is good. So there's nothing negative about it. Another great opportunity for us.
Coach Anderson, Jason Turner, I just want to give people an idea which of the other coaches are from Texas.
Wow, that's a great question. You put me on the spot. Well, Coach Banda for sure. Coach Banda is for sure from Texas. Myself, obviously, Ethan Morris is from Texas as well. And now you got me scrambling thinking about all my staff members. Fremsky is not from Texas, although he spent a lot of time there, and he would tell you he's maybe an honorary Texan, but I think he's from Wisconsin. He's way from a long ways away. I'm missing somebody. I think there is somebody else on our staff. Chucky Keaton's from Houston. There you go. Thank you very much. Coming through in a pinch. There are 12, 13 players and 3 or 4 staff members, and I'm probably forgetting a couple, to be honest with you.
Coach Patrick Mayhorn with the Egg Ship. You mentioned that you've watched this team a couple times this year. What's been your impression of Memphis so far?
Well, I know them pretty well, having played them a couple times along the way and have watched them pretty much that entire progression of Mike before he left to go to Florida State. They hired Ryan on staff. He coached the O-line. And the first thing that comes to my mind is how big they were. They were built extremely well on both fronts. They run the ball and run it extremely well. I want to say one of their interior D linemen is massive, like almost 7 foot and 350 pounds. They're just super long on the edges, very big up front on both sides of the ball, and they commit to running the ball and playing physical defense. That's what they've done. That's how they won games. That's how they became one of the best teams in the league there for a stretch. So that is what you can expect. Length, size, power, run the ball, stop the run. And they have a very athletic, very mobile quarterback who can throw the ball but will move the chains with his feet. I know in the couple games I saw this year, he hurt people with his feet when they really, really critically needed a play. He was able to do it.
Hey, Coach, how do you balance injuries? You've dealt with a ton of them this year, and it is a bowl game and you want to win it. Do you try to get guys back into this game, or are you a little bit more cautious to make sure guys are ready for spring and fall coming up?
We'll look at each one of all those situations individually. If we feel like they are healthy enough to play and not at risk of making that particular injury anything more than just a normal rehab scenario, we would not put somebody in harm's way and risk maybe creating a surgical situation or bringing a person back too soon. We'll be very thoughtful in that mindset that spring is right around the corner, and we don't want something to linger off in the off season. But if a guy's healthy enough to play and we can add him back to the roster, and we need as many as we can get, as you know, we are beat up at a really, really high level. I think 25, 26 or so guys that have been in and out at some point here recently. So we'll be smart about it, but we want to be competitive. We want to win the game. So it'll have to be a calculated decision with the group of us about what's best for them, number one, and is it allow us to be more competitive.
Hey, Coach Al Lewis, then off the top of your head, do you think you'll be more healthy than you were for the Boise game in the bowl game?
Well, I would think, yeah. I mean, that 2 or 3 or 4 weeks is bound to help us in getting healthier than we were in that game. Now, how many guys are we able to add back? I would think Mike Anyuwana has a very real chance of being back. John Ward has a very real chance of being back. AJ Carter has a very real chance of being back on the field. Now, beyond that, I'm not sure there's anybody else that we could have that conversation about. We just don't have that many that are going to change drastically. So there may be somebody else I'm not really thinking about right now off the top of my head, but those are the 3 that probably make the most sense to get back in this type of time frame. The rest of them are out for the year and expected to need even surgical procedures either right now or through the holidays anyway. We're probably not going to add a whole lot back to the field, to be truthful.
Coach Anderson. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Patrick Mayhorn again. You've talked about the importance of bowl practices. How important is that, especially this year with such a young roster and so many guys you're expecting to bring back?
Well, even though it's only going to be 4 or 5 more practices, it's not going to be 3 weeks of practicing. It's just not possible with recruiting and with finals. But another opportunity to compete against a really good team is helpful. Those are games reps, and those are way better than practice reps. And then the 4, 5, 6 additional practices you get are all helpful. Every rep you get better. You learn another lesson. You make a mistake you don't plan to make again in the future and can teach from. So they're all helpful. They're all valuable. And right now we are in a position where a lot of young guys are getting those reps, and they normally would not. If we had a healthy roster, we had a larger senior class, a lot of these young guys wouldn't be playing, but they're going to prepare and play against a really good team, and it's going to make us better next fall.
Hey, Coach, isn't the bowl game this year, schedule-wise, better for your recruiting than it was last year? You were kind of announcing stuff while you were getting ready for the bowl game last year.
Yeah, this is going to help recruiting. It'll actually add another weekend for us that we did not get last year. And had we played in an early game this year, we would have been short a week on the road and a weekend to bring guys on campus. It's a little bit tougher on the back end for the players. Their turnaround from game time to when school starts is going to be a week shorter, but it is much better for us in terms of recruiting, and that's what's going to make this thing work, is continue to recruit and develop. So we'll take advantage of it and hopefully find some time on the back end of things for the kids and the staff to get a break away from football, maybe somewhere else down the road.
Coach Trentwood with Deseret News. Speaking of recruiting, what are the benefits of playing a bowl game in Texas?
Just visibility, opportunity for people there in Texas that may not normally tune into a game on the West Coast, and obviously they'll know the opponent as well. Being visible there in the area, seeing the logo, seeing our fans roll into town, all the above. It's all just advertising and marketing at the highest level. If we can go play well on a big stage with everybody watching that particular day, and show our logo and our brand right there in Texas and in the Metroplex as well, then it just continues to build what we're trying to do.
Coach Anderson, Jason Turner again. Just, I mean, obviously the Mountain West and the American Athletic Coast Conference pride themselves on being on the best of the group of 5 conferences. And so there's some bragging rights at stake there. And this is a Memphis team that represented, that played in the New Year's Six Bowl in 2019. So just how big of an opportunity is this for your program?
Yeah, head to head across conference lines, we want our entire league to battle and play well. This is our matchup. We need to take care of our matchup. We did a phenomenal job of this a year ago, winning the Bowl Cup as a league, being the highest ranked group of 5 league in the country. This is another opportunity for our teams to go out, cross conference lines and win games and do the same thing, show everybody in the country this is the strongest group of 5 league out there. And there's a lot of conversations throughout the course of the year, but right here at the end, this is where you're really able to make the biggest impact. What people see at the end when you play across conference lines, this is where we can make a statement about who we are, who we want to be in the future. In 2024, when they open up the playoff to 12 teams, the Mountain West needs to be the strongest league in the country and put ourselves in a position to have a team in that playoff. And this is just another opportunity to show what our brand of football is like across the board, team by team across conference lines. And so we need to go out and take this game extremely seriously. Every team in our league does, and hopefully come back again with another Bowl Cup.
Hey, Coach Anderson, Eric Franson with 106.9 The Fan. Just your thoughts about sometimes players skip on bowls for NFL potential. Just your thoughts on that generally.
I don't think we're in that position here this particular year. I do see where there are guys that know they're combine players, guys that know they're first, second, third round type prospects that are concerned about their health. The bowl they're playing for is not in the CFP. It's not for a conference title. It's again, another opportunity to showcase their talent. And they're basically set they've set their resume for the NFL. They've seen as all they need to see at that point. It's time for them to get healthy. I understand those conversations and those guys making the decision not to play. I would tell you for 99% of the population, every time you're able to go out and compete, you build your resume. Every time you go out and compete at a high level, you're able to get more and more looks. And I would anticipate that every one of our guys that has any aspirations of playing at the next level is going to take full advantage of being able to show that against a good opponent on a national stage one more time. And they remember what they see. The last thing they see is what they're going to remember most. So for us, I don't think it's really that kind of a factor. I do see it in some of the other programs at times, and I think you've got to understand that those people are struggling to make what decision is best for them and them personally, and that same decision is not the same for everybody else. Anybody else? All right, guys, we'll see you soon.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.
Appreciate it, Coach Anderson. Thank you, Douglas.
All right, thanks, everybody. Talk to you soon.